Lalit, over to you. I want to ask you, as an entrepreneur yourself, what's your obsession? So, in your business, so every entrepreneur has an obsession. Uh, let me take an example. For example, let's say in about a decade back, about 12, 13 years back, there was an entrepreneur called Tony Shays in the US. And Tony Shays was selling footwear for women. He was selling footwear for women online, and he thought it will be a great idea to sell footwear for women in online in the US. And the idea failed. He had a lot of investors. He's burnt a lot of cash, but he could not really sell footwear to women online in the US. Now, but his obsession was how can, so he was burning a lot of money, and he was sitting one day and he was saying his obsession was to how can he add value to his customers, because women have a special relationship with footwear. I mean, all of us can vouch for that. So, but he was not able to sell footwear to women online. So he made a announcement. He was trying to make an announcement that I'm going to sell, you, so women can come online, जितनी मर्जी आप फुटवेयर लेने ले लो, शिपिंग फ्री, एक तरफ फ्री दूसरी तरफ फ्री, अब पसंद नहीं है वापस कर दो, फुट शिपिंग टोटली फ्री. So investors were saying, Tony, are you crazy? You're gonna make the shipping free, but shipping is pretty expensive in the US. So investors were saying, Tony, are you crazy? You're gonna make shipping free both ways. They will buy 10 pairs. They don't like, they can return 10 pairs, and you will give them money and shipping is free. He said, yes, I'm gonna do that. But investors were mad at him because they're burning a lot of cash. And he said, let's do it for 1 month. Let's try for 1 month. So he tried that. He allowed women to buy these footwear online for a month and was taking the footwear back if they didn't like it. And the idea became a hit. And the rest is history. He sold his venture to Amazon at $1.1 billion valuation. So his Tony Hsieh's obsession was to add value to his customers no matter what. Similarly, my question to you is, Lalit, what is your obsession in your business?
Yeah, so very valid question. The obsession that we have, at least while we started this, was that we wanted a 360-degree firm. As in, the 360 degrees is like somebody comes and asks a question, they need some tax support, some indirect tax support, overseas, any kind of restructuring, tax planning, international tax. My thought was that I should be able to say a yes, that yes, I'll be able to help you out with this. So that's the obsession, as in whatever comes up our way, we're not trying to over specialize in one particular domain. We add as many partners as we can. So today, as we stand, we are 7 partners. I started with a sole proprietor firm about 15 years back, but today we are 7 partners and a team that we built up, and we are looking at more kind of things that we can add to the flavor, and we can add as many value add solutions that we can provide to the client. So obviously that builds, and where we did, obviously we learned it from where I was in PwC, while we looked at that this particular firm is able to solve many such solutions, and they're able to provide all such services to their clients. And so we try to kind of emulate that and try to solve as many things. And obviously it's not just our firm. What helps is the networking. I think, Amit, you've been of a great help, that all the IP that most of our clients are struggling with, their basic trademark thing, there have been a lot of litigations also. So it makes, so it's not, if not our firm, then maybe an extended arm, or maybe a trusted partner who can solve the problem, but it will be kind of monitored by us. So it kind of helps to solve that problem. So if my obsession is that if we can be a 360-degree firm and as many yeses as I can say to my clients, I think I would have achieved what I'm looking out for.
Great. That's a great obsession, Lalit. So, Lalit, with this following the same obsession, I think a lot of your clients are also being advised to have a US office. And then the US office is their primary office, their parent office, and the subsidiaries in India. Why do you advise your clients to have a US parent and India subsidiary? What benefits? What are the benefits of that?
Basically, I'll tell you what it stems from 2 reasons. One, obviously, if it's a B2B SaaS company and it's a global platform and it's a tech play that is there, it's a deep technology play, to sell a SaaS product. And I think all the SaaS companies who are into B2B will realize it's much easier to have the value for money in a US organization than in India. Like, even if a SaaS platform, you say, I give you a subscription platform, would you pay for that? The answer would be maybe out of 10, 2 people will say, yes, I'll pay, 8 will say no. Maybe out of those 8, 5 are interested, but they won't pay for that. In the US, the market is different. I think it's totally different. Everybody's kind of looking out for those solutions. So B2B SaaS, it really stems in, if you're solving a problem which is more global, I think US is the place to be in that sense, because it's not just the investment part. Business is a bigger reason. And I think eventually most of the companies land up having their own hirings also. Initially, when they do a setup, it's just their company without any hirings. But later on, even the founder, we look at founders move in the US and manage the business from there, hire in the US, and they have a playbook in terms of how to do that. That's primary reason one. The reason two is obviously the investment, the valuation that is kind of derived from your business model and your revenue model just being an Indian company versus a global model where you're kind of in the US. The US investors kind of force you to be there and get you the stuff. And obviously, why the investors are also looking out, there are a lot of investor protection which is kind of given in the US regulation, which is not there in India. So we may say that the Indian the rating of doing business in India has gone up. That's fine, as in that's okay. And I think we could really count the number of benefits that you can really get from what the government support is. But in terms of what you get in the US, in terms of flexibility, in terms of look at the number of filings that we're doing in India, it's crazy, as in the enormous filings that we do. Though I'm on the other side, I'm actually a beneficiary of that. I'm doing a lot of filings. I'm more than happy because everybody comes to me. We don't have a lean period, as in there's always some deadline that's going on. So as a CA firm, I'm more than happy. I spoke to one of the guys who was getting standing for some election, and a CA person. I told him that we need something which is simplifying the law. We don't need to complicate it more. Nobody is really interested in simplifying it. Trust me. I asked that person. That person said, "These laws are complicated, and it's going to be the way it is." In the US, there are complex laws, but I think, and in fact, I'll tell you what my experience. In fact, India, if there is a penalty, you have to file an appeal, and there is a forum that you have to go through all the drill. There is a tribunal, there's a high court, there's a Supreme Court, you go all of that. US, there was a delay filing by a person that was the first year of business operations to the IRS. We applied for a waiver, and they were forthcoming because this was the first year they gave a waiver. Do we have that out here? I think I can put
Very
it up.
Interesting.
Out here. Is there some kind of a solution? Same thing in, I tell you, this kind of thing, even in Singapore, there was a wrong filing that was done by that client. We went to the ACRA, we asked them that this is something which is erroneously happened. Can we do something about it? We just had to pay a nominal late fee. That's it. Rest, no implication. So I think there are various other things that get kind of built in. So reason one, as I said, is from a business perspective that your customers need you, and you have to be near to your customers. As in, you can't stay in India, do a service to a US customer. So you have to go there and serve them. That's one. Investor, again, they would want you to kind of be there because investor protection, valuation, all of that exits. Because you may not know that one of the bigger giants like the Googles or the Facebooks or the other players would want to acquire you. So you are kind of ready for that. So that's step two. Step three, obviously there are various flexibilities that is there. While you have multiple countries, you have to take care of all the regulations that you have to comply with, but there are a lot of other benefits that you can get out there. Even the incubation program, like the fund that India has started right now, there are similar funds that are there in UK, is there in Ireland, a lot of incubation support provided by the government themselves. So you can watch out for that also. Even in US, while COVID happened, there were a lot of programs that were run by the US if you had a US hiring. So there were a lot of loans that were given with a waiver plan. So a lot of business support was given. So I think a lot of other things come into play while this is being created. So it's not just one reason. And one last thing, Amit, you will find it funny, but many people find it, and you can be the right person to tell me. They say that IP laws are the best in the US, and that's why they want to go to the US. So that's one. I can keep that question for you, and you can tell me whether that's a relevant thing, or you can do an IP staying in India also. But that's one of the things that people tell me that, and the founders are really kind of having an aura of that if my company is in the US, I can protect my IP very well if it's a US company. That's one of it, but there are typically 4 broad reasons, and IP question is to you. You tell me whether that's relevant or how does it work.
Yeah, absolutely. So Lalit, thank you so much for all those 4 tips. That's a very pertinent thing to do, to have a setup in the US and have a branch in India. So yes, IP laws or laws per se are most respected in the US, especially IP. It's respected. The penalty for copying somebody's IP are huge. You can lose your business. And if you're on the other side, if you have the IP, you can become a billionaire by having the right IP. So yes, US is the #1 country in terms of respect of the IP laws. There's no doubt about it.